Gentlemen, welcome to tonight's edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. And in today's race, we are going to try to lock up this Busch Series Championship for the second consecutive race, as last week we were unable to do so, racing at the Milwaukee Mile, I do believe. So, no, that is not correct. It was not the Michigan. In Michigan, we were unable to win the championship. Unfortunately, we went into that race needing to finish at least 4th or better. We did not. We ended up finishing outside the top 30. So, with that happening and Clint Bowyer getting a top 10 finish, he's going to extend this race, or at least the season, another race. We'll see if we can lock it up today. Now, our odds are a little bit better. We have to finish 9th or better in this race to win the championship. We've only not finished in the top 10 4 times this year, one of which was obviously in the last race. So hopefully we can bounce back. We can get a top 10, specifically a 9th place finish or better, lock up the championship. It will not be easy though, because in the very first race at Watkins Glen earlier this season on this custom schedule season, we did finish in 4th place, but it was a little bit of a battle to get there. We did have a fast car. Tony Stewart won that race. We led 27 laps, and he had finished 4th. So as long as we do that, we'll be okay. Now the thing is, with that race, we had a much better starting position, because today I did not qualify too well. Messed up on both my qualifying laps. We'll be starting in 16th, so already a little bit behind the 8 ball to get things going. But hopefully we can survive. This is going to be a race of survival. I'm expecting a lot of cautions. Anytime I run at Watkins Glen on the EA Sports games, there's a lot of yellows. It didn't matter whether it was this game on NASCAR 06, NASCAR 05 Chase for the Cup, or NASCAR Thunder 2004. All of the classic games we played on the channel, when we go to Watkins Glen, it usually turns into a wreck fest. And it's not necessarily just me, or maybe I don't even get involved in any sort of an accident, nowhere around any accidents. It just seems to be that the field tends to wreck in the bus stop a lot. Turn 1 on restarts tend to stack up a lot as well, so there are definitely some treacherous corners on this racetrack when the field is packed together. We'll see what'll happen. Who knows? Maybe we go through caution-free for the first time ever on a road course in this game. Who knows? Zachary K, Milk, Billy Kramer, NASCAR Cup Series 2311 Racing, Davion West, and others, welcome into the stream. Let's get today's Watkins Glen 200 underway. Our championship competitor, Clint Bowyer, will be starting in the 3rd place position. And it'll be Dale Earnhardt, Martin Truex Jr. on the pole in the number 8. Green flag is in the air. And we are underway at the Glen. The second race here on the season. Busch trying to fight his way down to the bottom lane. He just got sandwiched between 2 of the fantasy drivers on the inside lane in turn 1. Drives out of it though, hangs on. Lost a few positions trying to back up to get to the inside. Currently sits 19th. Got to be patient. Something he was not able to do in the last race, and it ended up costing him. He doesn't have to win. Just has to get a top 10. To end this championship hunt here late in the season for Clint Bowyer. Contact already in the bus stop. One car gets squirrely. It was the 112 after contact with, I believe, the 131. One of those race cars went off into the grass, but not into the sand, so we do stay green. Clint Bowyer, though, to the race lead. Trying to put the pressure on Busch to get this top 10 finish today. Bowyer already trying to lead the opening lap despite starting in 3rd. Pass made on the outside lane for Busch on the 117. Trying to stay in front of him, but that 117 car will look back to the inside. Busch with a bit of a block to hang on in front of him. 1 lap in the books at Watkins Glen. 2 by 2 in the middle of the pack into this first turn. There's Luke Trigger in the 133. He actually won the last race at Michigan. Heck of a win for him as well. His first of the season. He was only the 2nd fantasy driver to get a win this year. Him and John Hamilton are the 2. It's the last lap pass for the win as well. Got a green-white checkered finish. 131 bounces off the curb. Busch went a little wide. He was on the outside of a side-by-side battle with Trigger, and he couldn't clear him. Plays a little defense there. The 117 goes wide intentionally in the middle of turn 5 through the carousel. Trying to protect his spot. Busch trying to outbrake Trigger down to the inside lane. And a pass is going to be made. Locked the brakes up just a little bit. But slid his way past. And a good start so far for Kyle Busch. Even though he's lost one spot from the start through these first 2 laps, he's keeping the car fairly clean. Down into turn 1. Locked the tires up. That caused him to turn right a little earlier than he wanted to there. Main contenders for the title, just me and Boyer. We're the only 2 in contention. That's why I only have us 2 on the point standings on the top of the screen. Vickers was in contention, but he was eliminated last race. Side by side, right in front of Busch. The 131 bounces off the curb, got sideways, gets split 3 wide in the bus stop. Didn't think we'd see that today. Busch just kind of slipped right through there. So did the 112 with the 131, looking for a crossover on Busch as they bang fenders off the exit of turn 5. That's going to slow that car down, and Busch will clear. Picking up the spot now, launches into the 112 down into turn 6. Pushes him a little bit too far out in front. Boyer has led the first 3 laps, so the reason why Busch needs to finish 9th or better to win the championship today, that is if Clint Boyer wins the race and leads the most lap to get 10 bonus points. That would put the pressure on Busch to have to finish 9th or better. 9th would actually tie what he needs to get the championship today, but he has the tiebreaker for the most wins. Boyer only has 3 to Busch's 13. So pretty easy there for Kyle Busch to have the tiebreaker due to the success he has had so far this season. They're back out of the gas a little early here. He's trying to keep himself out of trouble. The 152. Just keeping it off the car up in front of him. We don't usually see green flag pit stops at Watkins Glen on this game just because we do see quite a few cautions. 112 dive bombing underneath Bobby Labonte, trying to make a pass into turn 6. Pretty solid corner through turn 7 that time for Kyle Busch. Pulling away from everybody behind him. And the 112 again looking low underneath Labonte. Little contact there at the back of the 19, and that got the 5 a little out of shape in the S's. Busch hangs on to his race car, though. Corey Freed, thanks for tuning in. Good evening to you as well. Busch took a peek into the bus stop and not actually going to try to go for a pass there. He's got Mark Martin in the number 9 car behind him. Martin with 3 wins this season as well. I believe we have 5 drivers with 2 or more victories on the season. Busch underneath Labonte off of turn 1. Little contact. Labonte not giving Busch a lot of room. And that contact really slowed the 5 car up after he had to run initially off the exit of that first turn. Sandman, thanks for tuning in. Bobby Labonte with a big run on the 112. Decides to just kind of stay behind him. Kurt really knocked the 5 car sideways, and we have a caution for the first time today, likely in the bus stop behind Busch. Our first yellow of the day at Watkins Glen. This will bunch the field back together. It looked like Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth making contact. Newman slides into the sand pit. And into the soft wall, it looked like the foam wall as well. So Ryan Newman going for a spin after contact with Kenseth. I believe the curb kind of knocked him sideways into Kenseth. We've seen a lot of drivers bouncing off the curb quite a bit. But an early caution here at Watkins Glen, probably first of many that we'll see today. And maybe a chance for Busch to finally attack on this restart. Green flag back in the air. Lap number 10 here. Boyers led the first 9. Down towards turn 1. Single file on the outside as they jam up a little bit. Splitting 3 wide. Kyle Busch is going to make a bunch of passes on the inside of the racetrack. Side by side with the 83 and the SS. He's going to battle for this because this is for 10th place. What a launch on the restart for Busch into turn 1. And he is clear and in the top 10 for the first time. What a restart for the 5 car. Lock the tires up a little bit there. Getting into the bus stop back behind them. Hopefully the field makes their way through. So Busch now in position. As long as he keeps his track position right now, he only has to pick up 1 more spot from now to the end of the race. Easier said than done. And he's going for that spot right now underneath Shane Meal, and he's got it in turn 6 up to 9th. 7 spots gained in the first lap after the restart for Kyle Busch. And sure, he would like to win this race. If he's in position to, that'd be one thing. But as long as he finishes right where he's running now after the first 10 laps, he will win the title. And Truex, who started on the poles, really fallen back quite a bit already as well. Busch on the inside of J.J. Yaley in the 18. Side by side in the SS dangerous area of the track to be. Side by side. There's contact. Busch is going to be clear for 8th as he forces himself clear. Locking the brakes up into the SS. Hangs on. Yaley still keeping pressure on the 5 as well. Just a slight bit of breathing room now for Busch, position-wise, and where he needs to be at the end. It's Busch's fastest lap of the day that last time. Little bump to the 8. And now looking for the run. Into the S's, clear for 7th. Busch continues to move his way through the field. He's kind of pinned in 16th. That caution really worked out for him with the good restart. And then on the other side of that, still picking up some spots here and there. Dale Jr. pulling out of line, maybe trying to make a pass on Brian Vickers in the 57. They'll be side by side into the bus stop. A little bit of contact between the 57 and the 81. Big bounce off of the wall there for Dale Jr. He hit the curb on the inside. Crocker will pass him for position, and so will Kyle Busch. Busch trying to draft off the 6, although Earnhardt is still there. Not clear yet. Busch trying to outbrake Earnhardt. He does. He gets down towards the bottom of the racetrack. Earnhardt going to cross him over to the outside. It's going to allow for Jr. to be on the inside now into turn 7 with Busch up high. And it looks like Dale Jr. going to fend off Kyle Busch. Busch goes wide, contact with Truex, and around goes the 8. And I think they're piling up behind. After Busch had hit the wall off the exit of turn 7, it ricocheted him right back into Truex. J.J. Yaley ended up involved in that wreck as well as the 8. Before Truex got turned back around in the right direction, our second caution is out. And this is going to put Busch to the tail end of the field now for causing the accident. Just a rule I have these games. That is very unfortunate there. 611 Mendez, thanks for tuning in. Dark Crypto, also welcome into the stream. David Niehoff. Can't pit for fuel or tires here for an unfair advantage. And this is not good for Kyle Busch. Got stuck on the outside going into the corner with Junior underneath him, and that's what caused him to mistime the exit, and that's why he got into the wall. First time he'd had to be on the outside of a corner at all, really, today, other than turn 6. Gotta go back to being patient again. I can't get all these spots back at once. I mean, turn 1 on the restart I'm going to go for, but after that I have to settle in. Bit off a little more than I could chew. Now, Junior did get into the tire wall after he hit the curb, exiting the bus stop and entering into turn 5, which opened up the bottom, and then he crossed me over in turn 6. That put him in a great position to pass us in 7 like he did. Green flag back in the air. Busch kind of spinning the tires a little bit off the restart. Big log jam on the outside, and Kyle Busch takes advantage of it. Well, he got 10 spots back, up to 33rd. Didn't have to make any contact with it either. Hungry One, welcome into the stream also. And we've got trouble in the bus stop. Somebody else is off in the sand. I saw that happening up ahead. Luckily, everybody got checked up in time. And it was contact between Bobby Labonte and the 83 car. Both of them go off into the sand there. And Labonte ended up kissing the foam wall as well. 83 was the one that bounced off the curb, and Labonte went with him. Kanzai also welcome into the stream. Mind if you use the live stream to have some background noise? I mean, I don't care. Appreciate it, though. On the commentary side of things. Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen you in the chat before, David, so... I got that last name. I've got it down. So 3 cautions here in the early going. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Green flag back in the air. It's actually good that that caution came out for Busch's sake, because now he can try to go back after the inside of the racetrack. Heading towards turn 1, try to pick up some more spots again. Couple cars going to the outside. Carl Edwards trying to pick up a lot of them on the top. Busch ended up down in the sand, just trying to give all those cars to the outside of him more room. Busch underneath of Miller. Trouble again. Couple cars around in the bus stop. Can't even get a green flag lap in after all now. Back-to-back cautions without getting a green flag lap in. The 112 making contact. Another fantasy driver. Both go off into the sand, and it's off the curb on the inside of the entry into the bus stop every time. That launches the car on the inside when they're side by side into the outside car. It was the 135 who also got collected. So this is interesting. Kyle Busch, I was thinking about waiting there, and we did it. So Busch is going to be the leader on the restart. Everybody else hit pit road during the caution. Kyle Busch stays out. That's going to be 5 bonus points. This is the first lap. Bowyer has not led today as the green flag is back in the air again. And Bowyer might get stuck on the outside off turn 1. Four cautions. Riding the short bus. That a bus stop joke? John Hamilton up to second. Bowyer now in third. Kyle Busch on old tires trying to hold on to the lead. Now he doesn't have to lead a green flag lap to get the bonus points. He just had to lead a lap, so he led under caution with staying out of the pits. So he's got 5 bonus points. That means he can now finish 8th or better to win the championship. So now we have to finish 8th or better to win the championship instead of 9th with leading this lap. The bad news is Busch is going to have to make a green flag pit stop here at some point in time as he's going a bit wide. Here comes the 33 car. Actually, it's Tony Stewart who will lead that lap. Busch trying to side draft him a little bit. Kyle on the outside, gonna lock the brakes up. He's stuck up high. Tony Stewart to the race lead. Contact with Bowyer as Busch fights his way back to the inside of Stewart. What a battle to hold on to the lead here for Kyle Busch. Stewart side drafting the left rear corner panel of Kyle now, but Busch is clear off the exit of the S's. And Bowyer looking for second. This is going to get dicey down into the bus stop between the 33 and the 2. They're so close together. Busch goes wide. They're 3 wide for the lead. Oh my goodness. Busch just trying to hang on for dear life on these older tires. What a battle. Out breaks Clint Bowyer. Contact again with Tony Stewart. Oh, contact. Stewart almost got turned, and Bowyer's going to get to the lead. Stewart almost got turned head on into the outside wall in turn 7. Bowyer back out in front again. He seems to have the fastest car in the field today. Busch trying to get back to the inside of Stewart. He's not letting this 33 car go. That contact slowed the 5 up quite a bit, and here comes Kenny Wallace now, and that might be enough for Stewart to try to pull away. The grass stop. Oh, I think Kenny Wallace just went into the grass. No contact with anybody. Didn't take anyone with him, so we stay green. That moves Brian Vickers up to 4th. Bowyer's pulling away. But at least Kyle Busch is able to try to fight with Tony Stewart here for second. Gonna side draft him. Gonna pull off of him now. Looking down towards the inside, go back up, trying to side draft him again before entering turn 1. Maybe a slight bit of contact between the 2 cars. Busch is leaning on Stewart right now. Tony's got to be teed off. But Kyle Busch is up to second, trying to get the last lap. So Bowyer's doing what he needs to right now, but Busch was able to lead under caution. Was staying out of the pits to get the track position. So, yes, Kyle Busch hasn't pit yet, but he's in a pretty good spot right now to be in as far as potentially trying to win this race. Or not win the race, but win the championship. With all the cautions, though, he has to be saving some amount of fuel, you would have to imagine. Again, we've had 4 cautions today. Everybody pitted during that 4th. And we haven't had a green flag run longer than 6 laps so far. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time today. Busch just ran his fastest lap, 1 minute 11.280 second lap. Busch is abusing these tires, though, just trying to keep up with Bowyer. Quarter of a tank of gas left here for Kyle Busch this point in the run. I would think, though, if we ran green flag laps from the start of the race, I feel like we would have had to pit around lap 30. So everybody should have to pit one more time. I don't think Kyle Busch has been able to save enough fuel to make it on just one stop. Not unless we get a lot more cautions. Bowyer going down off the top lane. Off the exit of turn 7. Probably trying to break a little bit of that draft. Back in line. And you can just hear Busch squawking the brakes. Those front tires locking up on him. Still closed in quite a bit into turn 1. I mean, you might as well abuse the tires. You're already this far into the run. Gonna have to pit pretty soon. As far as green flag laps go, I mean, we've had 12 caution laps, so he's only got about 17 laps on these tires. Looking for a dive on Bowyer, maybe trying to force him into a mistake. Kind of banking on the rest of the field having to get through the bus stop every lap. We could get a caution there. I don't know if it'd be better if we pitted under green or under caution. We'd lose, obviously, more track position, but at least I can take advantage of fresh tires with clean air. Versus under caution, I'm just going to be back in traffic. There's been a lot of wrecks mid-pack, and it's a scary place to be. I don't know if there's really a right or wrong answer, to be completely honest. The right answer would have been to probably just pit with everybody else initially. Definitely going to have to think about that going forward. So that clean air advantage right now for Clinton Bowyer is going to be paying huge dividends for him. And Busch got him out of the groove. Oh, man. He pushed him going into the corner. Bowyer has crashed on his own, I do believe. Caution flag is out. If that caution was on Bowyer, which it was, Kyle Busch just sent the 2. He is wrecked in the bus stop now for a 5th caution, and Busch is going to have to go to the tail end of the field and can't pit for fuel or tires here. I didn't think that little bit of a bump was going to launch him that far sideways, but I think he was just getting on the brakes when that happened, so it caused the rear wheels maybe to slide a bit more, and off the track goes Clint Bowyer. And because Busch caused the accident, he's going to be going to the tail of the field again, and unfortunately, now he's back in traffic and still has to make a green flag stop. Save a little bit more fuel with these caution laps, but not looking good for Kyle Busch right now. And nobody else pits either, so Busch right to the tail end of the field. No, not to push him again. Bowyer still in the lead as he maintains his position. Stewart will be in second right behind him for the restart. Green flag back in the air. And we will have 49 laps to go in this race on this restart. Field stacking up towards turn 1. Kyle Busch going for broke down on the inside of the racetrack, trying to fight his way around as many of these cars as possible before he has to pit. Now he's going to have to be an aggressor. Oh my gosh, he made contact with the car. The 119, I believe, and that's what kind of turned him into the outside wall there. That contact. Still picked up 10 spots initially. All 43 cars still in this race on the lead lap. Busch picking up another spot on the 119. And it looks like everybody will get through the bus stop this time around. I mean, sure, Bowyer could blow an engine, but I mean, I doubt that that's going to happen. He's definitely the guy to beat today, though. Stewart led, what, 1 or 2 green flag laps? Bowyer's led all the other green flag laps today. Kyle Busch has only led under caution twice for his laps led. He's got a car underneath him. Field kind of wadding up quite a bit down into turn 1. Busch is on the outside of about a 3-wide battle, trying to force his way back towards the bottom. That is not a great idea as he cuts back across the track, getting sideways. Luckily, nobody else was there. And now he just gets jacked out of the way by the 86. And now he's starting to lose some spots again on these older tires. with all the contact being made around this racetrack. Oh, what a crossover there for Busch. Boyer leads. Busch staying out of the pits again. Good chance he'll end up pitting this time by. See, on pace right now, even with 5 cautions in the first half of this race, he's going to have to pit twice still. And the reason why he'll have to pit twice is because he'd only be able to go, even if we got 5 more yellows, to lap 70 with just 1 stop. So there is no chance here that Kyle Busch is going to make it, unless we get like 8 cautions in the second half of the race alone. Can't bank on that, though. So Kyle Busch will pit this time by from 31st. So put him in clean air for a little bit. With the amount of cautions we've seen today, you'd have to imagine we're going to end up getting more. Remember, in the Busch Series, we haven't had more than 2 cautions in a race in 4 races until this one here today. Figured that was all going to change at Watkins Glen, and it sure did. Busch into the pits. It'll be 4 tires and fuel. He'll top off. The best thing that could happen here is we get a caution after he hits pit road. And then he can attack on fresh tires on the following restart. But for right now, he's going to have to go with this. Got himself into trouble a couple times. Not for him wrecking, but because of couple cars spinning after contact with him. Martin Truex Jr. earlier, which was the second yellow, and then the most recent caution with Boyer, which is why he was at the tail end of the field. He got the track position back because he was able to stay out of the pits. Everybody pitted during the 4th caution, and then with him causing that 5th one, put him right back to where he was prior to that caution before that. So he is going to be on the lead lap still. That is going to be good, with this being a road course. But Boyer continues to lead. Still a little bit shy of the halfway mark. So everybody going to have to pit one more time in this race, Kyle Busch included. Busch is going to be able to go quite a ways on fuel, even green flag laps. I mean, you could probably expect him to go at another 26 to 30 laps yet. If we do stay green that long, which I would highly doubt it, the rate we're going at. .4 seconds off the lead exactly right now for Kyle Busch. No, I'm not gonna undercut the bus stop. I could cut through the grass if I really wanted to. If I time it out right, I'm not doing that. Could do that in a lot of corners if I really wanted to. Assuming I'd keep control going through the grass too. Busch just ran his fastest lap. First time he's gotten down into the 1 minute 10-second bracket. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is the first time he's had clean air today and has fresher tires along with it. It was about 0.3 of a second quicker than Clint Boyer that last lap. Of course, oh jeez. Ricocheted off one guardrail to the other. Lost that time right back in the S's. I think somebody just blew a motor, so that's going to be a spot for Kyle Busch. That's one less car he's going to have to pass on actual speed. I'm not sure who it was exactly that dropped out, but somebody having an issue there on that last lap was able to get into the garage. Run to pit road unscathed, so we do continue to stay green. I mean, this track's fun to drive in this game, I'll say that much. By myself, it's a little treacherous when there's a bunch of cars around you, especially with how wide they tend to take the bus stop when you're side-by-side. Even if you're not side-by-side, we've seen a couple guys go wide into the grass as well, without any contact. Love to pass even when it'll go bad. I mean, at least there's entertainment in it. Yeah, we're racing to try to get to the end here more often than not. At least on this game, if you do DNF, you could swap to a teammate. Haven't had a DNF in the Busch series here with Kyle yet. Again, just 4 finishes outside the top 10. I got a little light trying to get into turn 1 that time. Imagine once the pit window opens up for drivers to be able to make it on field to the end of the race, we'll see some cars pit early. Not sure exactly what lap that 4th caution took place for them to pit. Had to imagine that they were within the window, though, to be able to make it on one more stop from when they pitted the first time. Otherwise, I don't think they would have pit. So again, Busch has to finish... Sorry, I said 8th or better with leading the lap. I meant to go the other way. We have to finish 10th or better to win the championship. Because it was 9th or better at the start. We had 5 bonus points for staying out leading under caution a couple different times. We haven't led a green flag lap, but it's definitely looking like Boyer's going to get the most laps led. So if he ends up winning this race, and we will indeed have to finish 10th or better to win the championship. But the 5 bonus points for Kyle Busch was not factored into that finish coming into the start of today's race, so It is factored in now because he does have those 5 bonus points secured. So just need a top 10 to win the championship. 10th or better. Busch has been there off and on today. We'll see if he can get up there for good one last time. 40 laps to go at Watkins Glen. This NASCAR Busch Series race is the longest green flag run so far. This next lap will be our 10th lap of this green flag run. I didn't think that was going to be possible today. Especially the way this race started. Boyer leading the field around the carousel in turn 5 once again. Kyle Busch going a bit wide off of turn 7. It's the third time he's gotten into the wall up there. Bit him after contact with Truex very early in the race. Just getting back into the gas a little bit too early in that corner from time to time. Be a little bit more patient trying to ease back into the gas there. I did make an adjustment after qualifying as well. I felt I had too much grip and too much downforce in the car, so I took a little bit out. Just definitely made the car a bit more darty. But I felt like in traffic it was just going to be even worse with how tight the car was in specific corners, and I didn't want that. Especially with starting 16th, knowing I was going to have to at least gain a handful of positions from where I started the race. We definitely had a not-so-aggressive approach at the start because I was expecting there to be cautions, and then once I got aggressive, that's where it started to bite us. And I had a bad feeling that was going to happen. So if we get back in position where I'm in the top 10, I think I just have to park it and play it safe so I can win the championship. Because the longer we prolong this, I didn't clinch it last week when I had a chance. I don't want to just keep prolonging this if I continue to get worse and worse finishes, because that is not going to be good for us. It may give Boyer a shot at the title. If he just has a shot going into the final race, remember that final race is at Talladega. Anything could happen there. So even if I have to finish better than 40th, that's not a guarantee at Talladega. You get caught up in the big one in the early going and DNF from there. So really trying to clinch this championship as early as we possibly can for that reason. Too much of a flat entry there for Kyle Busch into that corner. We'll still have to take 2 more field passes at some point in time in today's race as well. Last we saw Brian Vickers, I believe he was in 4th or 5th. Curious to know if he's still inside the top 5 or not. You can look on the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You can just see Clint Boyer's pulling away again. He is going to be very difficult to pass on a non-restart today. Only time he has not led a green flag lap was when Tony Stewart was able to get by him on the restart where Boyer wasn't even the one leading. It was because Busch led on the restart after staying out of the pits. Stewart was able to get around the 2. Says 9th or better right now. That's because that's what it was at the start of the race. Because I led a lap under this points format in 2005. If you lead a lap, you get 5 bonus points. I'll update that next time we get a caution, or if I have to pit next, whatever happens first. We're looking at probably not having to pit until we get close to around 12 laps to go at the furthest. I think we pitted at lap 36, I believe. So we've only gone 11 laps on fuel and tires during this run. Everybody else has gone a little more than 25 laps, but they have had 2 cautions from the last time that they had all pit. So they're under just a little bit of a different circumstance. And I will say road courses are the hardest racetracks to get rhythm on. Because on an oval, it's a lot easier because the straightaways aren't as long when you're going fast as what you would in a stock car. You know, even some of the longest racetracks that are typical ovals, 4 turns, when you're on a straightaway for what, like 8 seconds at the most? Road course, sure, you might be turning more often, but every turn is so unique from the other, it's not symmetrical in any way. Also, a lot of these drivers used to going in left-handed turns versus right-handed turns, so that also plays into effect. Glen Boyer doing his job, trying to get his 4th win of the season, prolong his running for the championship yet another week. Kyle Busch is trying to seal it up today. Since Busch came out of the pits, he has gained a net of about 0.7 of a second on Boyer, and that's it. And that's even with the fresher tires. There's a way to get off track position, or get off pit strategy. I'll do it, but the problem is it's going to be very difficult getting closer to the end of this race when you know that it's more than likely just one more stop away from the finish for everybody in the field. So if we were to get a caution, there's a very good chance that these guys would end up all hitting pit road, not just Kyle Busch. Now, he could get some positions back on pit road. We know in the restart specifically, they tend to stack up quite a bit in turn 1. He can maybe gain a half a dozen to a dozen positions there. But he's still going to be well outside the top 10 where he needs to be. We've had 2 drivers DNF so far since he made his green flag stop, so down to just 41 cars in the race. That is why Busch is in 41st. That's 2 less cars he's going to have to pass on track on raw speed or strategy. Don't see anybody pitting this time. "32 laps to go." Busch definitely seems to be picking up that pace. The last 2 laps he has ran were his 2 fastest laps of the race. Minute 10 second .8, and then that last lap was a minute 10 second .7. So he's definitely starting to get in some sort of a rhythm right now. We definitely know Kyle Busch is close enough to the rear of the field now that short pitting would not be the answer because he would end up going a lap down. Had to come from a lap down in Michigan, was never able to really race his way back onto the lead lap traditionally. And when he did, he ended up having to get caught a lap down again anyway. Busch is up to 30th as we had quite a few cars just hit pit road there. So the window to make it on field to the end is now open as we have 30 laps to go. Brian Vickers is on pit road right now. Of course, Hendrick Motorsport teammate of Kyle Busch. Stick with this far chase cam for the rest of this race, by the way. We're done the alternating of the camera angles. Just wanting to swap to Vickers before he pitted, but just have to wait to do that until after he leaves pit road here shortly. And if he drives a lap down right now, if we were to get a caution, that would be even more beneficial for Kyle Busch because it would trap more cars a lap down. Currently, Busch, as he enters turn 1, is inside the top 20. Now, not all these cars that are pitting early are going to go lap down. Just cycled out ahead of Brian Vickers. Vickers has scored 21st right now. So the cars that have already pitted, he seems to be the first one as he's getting up to speed in the S's. Race leader Clint Boyer is on pit road, bringing quite a bit more of the leaders in. And it'll be interesting to see if Kyle Busch may potentially cycle to the race lead. It would take some laps led away from Boyer, but he's led so many, I think he's going to end up leading the most anyway. J.J. Yaley in the 18 car will actually take the race lead. So this is the first time Yaley has led today. Pick up 5 bonus points. Still trying to get a top 10 points finish. I believe that is Tony Stewart out in front of Kyle Busch right now. So Clint Boyer has definitely cycled out ahead of the 5. Busch is up to 8th right now. And we still have more of the leaders that have to hit pit road yet. Busch was able to keep up with Stewart on older tires earlier, so it'll be interesting if he's going to be able to do the same now. Stewart's got a slight bit of breathing room for the moment. These green flag stops are definitely going to cycle the field out enough to where they're not going to be bunched together, so the likelihood of a caution is going to be a lot slimmer than what it was. Stewart going wide off turn 7. Fastest lap of the day for Kyle Busch. Minute 10.697. That last lap. As Busch tries to run down smoke. 106 car out in front. Kyle Busch is up to 5th. We know the 106 has to pit. Not sure how many other cars may have to pit yet. Busch catching a little bit of that draft from behind Stewart right now. Tight in the middle of turn 5 though, in that dirty air as he's tucked underneath the 33. Got to make sure not to wreck Stewart at all costs here. He's going to launch himself to the inside of the 33. There's some contact. Stewart's going to go wide off into the grass. It's going to cost him a lot of time. Those two have made contact quite a bit with each other today. And Busch is up to 4th. Trying to hang on any way he can. Up to 2nd. The last 2 cars just hit pit road. About a 5.4 second interval between Bowyer and Kyle Busch right now. So Clint Bowyer has to be really close to clinching the most laps led if he hasn't already. I think he probably has already. Size welcome into the stream. But again, Kyle Busch will have to pit one more time yet. Down to about a quarter of a tank of gas left at this point in the run. We're going to transfer to Brian Vickers next for a couple laps here. Vickers is in 4th currently, so he'll be in 3rd once Kyle Busch hits pit road. Vickers trying to run down Tony Stewart. Hasn't won since the season opener at Daytona. It'll be the 57 of Vickers. Stewart trying to sweep Watkins Glen. That was a big mistake there for Brian Vickers. Kind of the inside of the guardrail and back to the outside. I think Mark Martin has driven his way up to 5th. It's the next car behind Vickers. He was mid-pack at the start of the race with the 5 of Kyle Busch. So he's gained quite a few positions. I don't know, I'm just so used to it. I see your name and that's the first thing that comes to mind. How would you exactly say that? It would be like easier. "25 laps to go." 2 laps in a row, Vickers has hit the guardrail getting into the S's. Making some mistakes here. I'm the only one that ever pronounced it right. Yeah, when it comes to commentating, you need to be able to pronounce stuff correctly, so I do my best. It does look as if Kyle Busch is still pulling away from Tony Stewart right now. Doubt he's railing in Clint Bowyer in any way. We will go back to Busch here. I guess he's reeled him in a little bit. 4.7, 4.8 seconds off the lead. So when Kyle Busch will make the decision to pit, there's a chance that he ends up going fuel only, trying to keep himself as close to the top 10 as possible. Now, he's probably not going to be able to make any passes for position if he does that. About an eighth of a tank of fuel left at this point in the run. Down to 23 laps to go at Watkins Glen. Ryan Vickers really starting to reel in Tony Stewart again. This will be the eventual battle for second. Kyle Busch is in desperate need of a caution. So at least he can pit for fuel and tires. Probably get away with going with 3/4 of a tank of fuel to make it to the end. Trying to minimize the amount of time he could be on pit road. Vickers close enough to get a little drafting help behind Tony Stewart right now. Closes the gap quite a bit in turn 6. Kyle Busch staying out at least one more lap. Vickers all over the back of Tony Stewart. We'll go back to Busch once again. Vickers just ran his fastest lap of 1:10.481. So he even seems to have a quicker car than his teammate Kyle Busch. Wouldn't have thought that that 5th caution that we ended up getting could be the final one of the race. Based off of how this one is kind of finishing out. But if we are to get a caution, I don't think that the next one would be the last one. But I could definitely see this staying green to the end, though, at the same time. Now that the field is spaced apart, there's less battles on track for position. Kyle Busch at 4 seconds off the lead from Clint Boyer right now. It's not going to matter once he decides to pit. This could be any given moment at this point. Down to 21 laps to go. Left front tire really starting to wear out right now on Busch's race car. 3.8, 3.9 second lead. Close the gap a little bit. Boyer accelerating a bit quicker, though, through the S's right now than what Kyle Busch was able to. It's going to be a handful to hang on to this thing. Much older tires. It's maybe the best chance Kyle Busch is going to have. We'll have 20 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by. Got both front tires in the yellow on the tire wear indicator. Kyle Busch will pit this time by. Trying to go for all he can. Perfect pit road entry there. And it'll be fuel only for Kyle Busch. Laps to go. Having to go an extra 20 laps on tires is asking quite a bit, but the hope is to get track position. I don't think he's going to be in the top 10. I mean, worst case scenario, we're far enough back in the field that if we get a caution, I end up hitting pit road anyway to take tires. But there we go, 9.3 second stop. Hopefully they got enough fuel in it. It was estimated to be 9.7. And as Busch leaves pit road, he is going to be in 29th. So needs to pick it up. Doubt he's going to be fast enough to drive his way up there. See, it's the thing now, though, if we get a caution, he can jump a lot of cars on the restart. If we get back-to-back yellows, I think he has a chance if we get 2 cautions to get back in the top 10, but that's probably going to be his only chance to get into the top 10 personally. Still have one more field pass yet to get through as well in this race. Try back up there as Brian Vickers one more time. Some point before the finish. Kyle Busch into the bus stop. Very deep. Trying to make passes on these older tires that he's really abusing right now is going to be really difficult. Give a little bump to the 56. Can't get by him there. Try to swing underneath him down into turn 6. Locking the tires up big time. Body slams the 56. He's got the spot. Trying to dive underneath the 152 car next. Go back up, potentially try to side draft him a little bit. Side by side through turn 1. He'll make a clean pass for 27. Now every spot he picks up, that's less positions he'd have to finish up in the running order in the next race to clinch the championship. So there's still that incentive even if he can't get back into the top 10. Wasn't meant to be for the second straight week here for Kyle Busch. Definitely having his worst part of the season here in these finishing races. 152 got to go really wide. Overdriving the bus stop, trying to get back towards Kyle Busch. We do stay green. He bounced off the curb on the entry into that corner. Good drive, though, for Kyle. He's come back trying to get back in. He's still running decent laps, even on relatively older tires. Locking him up a little bit. Making another pass. Every position he can gain now before heading to another restart. It's only going to get him better and better because you have to assume he's going to gain at least a handful of positions on a restart. Whether he'd be able to actually pass and stay in front of him would be another question. Hopefully we don't have to find that out. Busch going to look to the outside this time at turn 6, so if he doesn't pass the 117... he'll be on the inside into turn 7, and he actually outbrakes him, and he's able to make the pass in turn 6 anyway. Pretty impressive there from Kyle Busch. $15 laps to go. Busch looking for another spot on the 112. Little contact. Busch slides. Gonna abuse those rear tires a little bit more. Losing a little bit of front grip, but not so much on the rear grip until that contact that he had in the middle of the S's. 112 bounces off the curb, gets sideways. Busch on the outside into turn 5. Pins the car down, trying to get the run off. Locking him up. Making the pass. Oh my gosh. Back in the gas as soon as possible. Trying to clear the 112. Went wide and still able to throw a block into turn 7 and hang on to 24th. Just 14 laps to go for Kyle Busch. All 4 tires now, and the yellow on the tire wear indicator. Oh no, contact! That just knocked that car into the guardrail. I think he kept it off the guardrail. I don't... Maybe not. I feel like if he would have ended up in the guardrail, he would have ended up like Clint Boyer earlier in the race, and that would have been in the sand pit over in the bus stop area. $13 to go. Kyle Busch needs to pass 1 car a lap to get into the top 10 to clinch the championship at the pace he is running right now. And there's still a chance that we could get a caution. Locking the tires up big time into the bus stop there. Trying to close in on the 113 car just up ahead. Looking for the charge on entry into turn 6. Can't quite stay there, down into turn 7 now. And nothing there either. Kyle Busch going on the inside. Into turn 1. There's a power move. Up to 22nd goes Busch. Proving the car's still strong on old tires, though. Definitely having some great car control with it. Nice draft off the 83. Trying to power brake his way into the bus stop again. Battling the 83 car for 21st. Spot will be picked up. I mean, Kyle Busch is doing what he needs to do right now. Put himself in position if we get a late race caution, really. John Hamilton in the 120 car will be up next. After that, I don't know that Busch is going to catch anybody else for position, at least over the next handful of laps. So 20th place might be about as far as he can get on actual speed here to the end. 10 laps to go at the start-finish line now for Clinton Boyer. We'll move up to Kyle Busch right now. Or sorry, not Kyle Busch. We'll move from Kyle Busch to Brian Vickers. Vickers trying to out-check the 33 car, Tony Stewart. Battle for second place on the racetrack right now with just 10 laps to go. 7 seconds off the race lead of Clint Boyer. Contact there between Stewart and Vickers. Stewart trying to throw a block on the main straightaway. Vickers going low. A little too low down at turn 1. Lost a lot of grip. Oh, contact between the two cars. Side by side. Into turn 5. Vickers squeezes alongside Stewart potentially. Another massive block by Tony Stewart. He was barely clear with that last one. Stewart's been getting beat up by the Hendrick cars so far today. There's a little contact down into turn 7. We'll go one more lap with Vickers, then we'll go back with Kyle Busch for the rest of the race. Down to 8 laps to go at Watkins Glen. Vickers again pulling alongside Stewart, trying to side draft him. Oh, there's a lot of contact there. Oh, Stewart trying to wreck Vickers, and he just about did, and they're going to lose a bunch of positions here. Stewart tried to dump Brian Vickers after they made contact initially, and he just about did. Mark Martin will move into second. Vickers going to slide all the way back to 5th place. Tony Stewart off the curb, going to slide wide. Vickers gets around him there. Almost into the tire wall goes Tony Stewart before entering turn 5. Kenny Wallace is up to 3rd. Vickers trying to get another shot at Kenny Wallace. They'll be side by side for 3rd place on the main straightaway. Side drafting each other. Well, that was something. No caution though. We stay green. Kyle Busch has actually dropped back to 23rd. These older tires, you can see him struggling as he goes wide again. Here in turn 6, I think his tires are finally starting to cliff on him. Ice Demon King 92 Hammer, welcome into the stream. We're about 36 seconds off the lead. There is a wreck on the final lap. No cautions, and I say that because I've seen quite a few wrecks today in the bus stop specifically. And maybe with getting later and later into this race, that could open the door up for potential passes to be made. on the final lap specifically if we saw an accident. I mean, Kyle Busch would still have to gain 13 positions. More than likely will not happen. At least going fuel only saved him some spots. If he would have taken 4 tires, probably would have finished outside the top 30. At least he's able to hang on. He was in 20th at one point on these tires. He's lost a few positions, but he's doing all right for himself, all things considered. Three races to go in this Busch Series season, and the championship will not be locked up yet for Kyle. 5 laps to go for Clint Bowyer at the line this time. Caution comes out in these final 5 laps. The race could end. Saw caution with 6 laps to go at Michigan in the last race. Ended up having to restart. Couple positions here. Kyle could potentially pass. Battle pretty hard right now with this 113. Quite a bit of contact. Both cars going wide. Busch trying to break the draft on the main straightaway. Got another car blowing up, by the way, that just made it to pit road. It was somebody who was already behind Busch because that wasn't a position he picked up while passing him, but we do stay green. So that car was able to get to the pits. Clint Bowyer, 2-car, out in front right now. Yeah, so he'll definitely extend the season. I mean, honestly, though, with where Busch is running, he could probably end up finishing right around 30th to clinch the championship in the next race. So it's getting easier and easier with every race, but he's still unable to do it. This is going to be his 2nd consecutive finish outside the top 10. We're down to just 4 laps to go, so even if we got a caution, the race would probably end this late in the going. So now Busch is just kind of hoping it stays green as he's trying to battle for position in the S's with the 83. And that pass will be made for 21st here for Kyle Busch. So, I mean, 11 positions. If Bowyer leads the most laps, wins the race, just like he did tonight in the next race, we're looking at Kyle Busch having to finish probably 31st or better. Actually, with the tiebreaker, about 32nd or better, more than likely to win the championship. So it's looking easier for certain. And if he is able to get another spot here in these final 4 laps, then he'll have to finish 33rd or better to win the championship. And we do have a caution with 4 laps to go. I doubt that this is going to give us a restart, but I guess you never know. A couple cars get together, of course, in the bus stop. Our 6th caution of the day after a very long green flag run. We went from lap, what, 37 or 34, I think, to there. So just over 45 laps. About a 45-lap green flag run, over half the race. Busch will stay out of the pits. I think that this is going to end it. If not, and we get a shootout, then Clint Bowyer, we're setting up here. We might just be racing to the checkered flag. And that is the case. So checkered flag is in the air. Clint Bowyer going to win the race under caution here at Watkins Glen. 21st for Kyle Busch. Good thing he passed the 83 car when he did. Dominant win for Bowyer. He deserved this one. Clearly had the fastest car today. Led all but, what, maybe 3 green flag laps. One of which in the middle of green flag stops. And then Tony Stewart led a couple laps today as well. We only led under caution. that is 5 bonus points. That is good enough for us. 75 of the 82 laps led today for Clint Boyer. Unbelievable. Mark Martin ends up finishing at second. Kenny Wallace third. Brian Vickers ended up fourth. Carl Edwards fifth. Tony Stewart fell back to sixth. He led just 1 lap. So Boyer led all but 1 green flag lap in today's race. All but 2 laps, because J.J. Yaley led 1 lap during green flag pit stops as well. Matt Kenseth ends up 8th. Aaron Crocker 9th. And Dale Jr. rounds out the top 10. And then our driver Kyle Busch finished 21st with 4 laps led, all under caution during 2 different caution periods. Looks like Kennedy led a lap under green flag conditions as well. And that was it. Thomas, Casey Kane, and then Clark at the end of the race DNF'd. Clark and Siegel. So 4 drivers DNF'd in today's race. So all but 3 green flag laps led by Clint Boyer. 6 cautions for 17 caution laps, 8 lead changes. 0.3 of a second, not the margin of victory. The margin of victory was at least 7 seconds. So that's how far of a difference it was at one point between Boyer and Martin towards the end of the race there in those final 10 laps when we were driving as Vickers. 77.22 mile per hour average race speed, 2 hours 36 minutes and 4 seconds was our race time today. We'll check out the point standings. I'll get the trusty calculator out here to see where exactly we have to finish. I'm thinking I have to finish 33rd or better. Let me see here. So the magic number, we go to New Hampshire next. By the way, New Hampshire is probably my best track on this game. That and Richmond. Auto Club, not as great. That'll be the second to last race in Talladega. I think there's a good chance we're going to clinch a championship at New Hampshire. So that is one of my better tracks on this game. So had to be 468 points up at the end of this race to clinch the championship. Yep, no title tonight. Try it again next week. 435. So yeah, we were close. Had to be up by 468. We were up by 435. Boyer survives. Vickers still third in points. Pretty comfortably ahead of Kenny Wallace right now, as long as he doesn't DNF before the end of the year. So I'm going to look up the point standings real quick. Or the points format. Just want to make sure what position we have to finish next week at New Hampshire to clinch the title. So to clinch the championship, we have to finish 32nd or better. So not 33rd, 32nd. That was close. 32nd or better to win the championship at New Hampshire. You would think that we'd be able to do that, but we have failed to finish 4th or better and then 10th or better in these last 2 races. So you never know what could happen. And Clint Boyer finished top 10 and then wins his 4th race this season in these last 2 races now. After winning today, there's still a chance. So our average finish was a 5.9. Our average finish was a 4.6 before these last 2 races, and now it's probably over a 6, maybe even over a 7 now. The record was Kevin Harvick of a 4.6 in 2006 in the Xfinity Series. We had a chance to go for that record, but these last 2 finishes have done us in. I don't even think if we win the last 3 races, we have a chance to get below a 4.6 or at a 4.6 again. Be lucky to get it down below a 6 from here on out, honestly. So that is going to wrap things up today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you have not already. And we will be back at it again tomorrow. NASCAR 22 at Michigan will be the next race there. So that will start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. Hope to see everybody for that one. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content also if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys tomorrow evening.